Yo, I'm not sure if any of you guys saw, but something really incredible happened not too long ago. RFK Jr., you know, the guy with the peculiar voice and the giga conspiracy theories about literally everything from the jokey pokey vaccines to wars and Israel and the Jews' roles in it, all this type of stuff, who's gotten really big on the conservative right and the conspiracy theorists, and especially the Trump wing of the conservative movement in this party. This guy, RFK, is so anti-Semitic. He's like super anti-Semitic. What did he say about like what Jews were doing to black people? Oh yeah, my bad. Sorry. Yeah, he said not too long ago. This was crazy. He said not too long ago that COVID-19 was made to be able to ethnically target black people. And that's why black people are dying at a higher rate, because it was genetically engineered to harm black people and spare Jews. So I don't think he said Jews made it. He just said that Jews were just simply immune, were just conveniently immune to COVID-19, and black people were conveniently susceptible to it. And so it's just a curious type thing that was going on. And the Chinese. Oh yeah, my bad. To spare Ashkenazi Jews specifically and Chinese people. Even though China had like a lot of COVID deaths, they just lied about it. Built different. Yeah, I guess the Jews and the Chinese were just simply built different. A Chinese Jew would be invulnerable. That is true. A Chinese Jew they would never be able to get it. It's just not possible at that point. They have the modifications that make it impossible. Ooh, it's crazy. Anyways, RFK has said some incredibly insane things over his lifetime. But now he's finally being confronted on it by, guess what? CNN. And I'm going to tell you, it gets pretty nasty. Let's take a look.
Welcome back. Less than 1 year out from the 2024 election, polls are showing that voters are not happy with the possibility of a Trump-Biden rematch. And third-party candidates are set to play a decisive role in the race. Among them is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He announced his run as an independent in October after he ended his bid for the Democratic Party nomination. The latest poll from Quinnipiac University shows that in a three-way matchup against Trump and Biden, 21% of registered voters said they backed Kennedy.
It's kind of insane how that's even possible, but he is pulling more from Republicans than he is Democrats. The only problem is he's using the last name Kennedy to be able to get a bunch of Democrats, because there's a lot of people in the country who still have like Kennedy fever and are like, if you have Kennedy as a last name, they're just going to be voting for you simply because of that. They believe that like the ghost of JFK will like guide your hand to be able to lead the country to greatness. And so if you just have Kennedy in your name, that you're just kind of it. That's done. Especially if you're related to, if you're one of the Kennedys in the Kennedy family, you will simply just get votes from some Democrats. That's just how it goes. They don't care who you are, what you do. I'm going to tell you now, if there was a Kennedy named Adolf Hitler Kennedy, there would be probably 30% of Democrats who'd go, you know, he is a Kennedy after. I don't like the Adolf Hitler part, but the Kennedy is bringing me back.
And Robert F. Kennedy Jr. joins me now to discuss all of this and more. Mr. Kennedy, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you very much for having me, Casey.
Why do 1 in 5 Americans say that they're interested in your candidacy?
I think they those are the people who've heard me speak. You know, those are the people.
Now be careful with making fun of his voice. He does have a medical condition that he was born. I think he was born with. It's a medical condition that he was born with. So be careful. We know we don't like him, but don't get too ableist, okay, bestie? Love you. I think it's cancer. He has voice cancer. That's crazy.
Who are listening to podcasts, listening to long-form interviews, and they want to change. They don't want to be told by either party that you have to choose between
the
lesser of two evils. And I think they want a candidate who's going to bring people together, who's going to inspire people, who cares about, I'm the only candidate who's talking about what's happening to the middle class in this country. And, you know, this idea that if you work hard and you play by the rules, that you ought to be able to make a decent living, you ought to be able to afford a home, you ought to be able to raise a family, take a summer vacation, and put aside something for retirement. And that was the central promise of the American dream. And it's now gone for this generation, particularly people 20 to 35, who I'm very, very strong with, are seeing that it no longer applies to them.
Oh, it's a neurological disorder. Okay. Kennedy Jr. was diagnosed with a spasmodic dysphonia around 1996. One symptom is a rare neurological disorder is a raspy voice. There was no cure for the condition, but patients can undergo speech therapy or counseling. Oh, there you go. It's a mental condition that makes his voice wobbly. Well, there you learn something new every day. Not cancer. He doesn't have cancer, just the things he says are cancer. There you go.
And they're feeling betrayed.
You also have a very famous last name, especially in American politics. When you announced your run, there were some members of the Kennedy family who were not happy about it. They wrote in a statement, quote, "The decision of our brother Bobby to run as a third-party candidate against Joe Biden is dangerous to our country." And they said that while you might share the same name as our father, you do not share the same values, vision, or judgment. Today's announcement is deeply saddening for us. We denounce his candidacy and believe it to be perilous for our country. What have you said to your family?
That's kind of crazy. There's only been a couple of people that I've seen recently have their whole family come out and say, we don't like this guy. We don't accept his kind around these parts. And that's been Paul Gosar, who's been like Nick Fuentes' number one guy in Congress. And then there's this guy too. Also, Trump's sister has said that he's not very cool. This rarely happens that for one, it really happens that a family member comes out against them. It's even more rare that the whole family comes out, because Gozar's entire family made an ad about like how we hate this guy. We actually hate this guy. And so for like the rest of the Kennedys to be like, you're going to ruin our legacy, stop it, is kind of insane. I don't know, like the type of strength it takes for like the whole family to be like, there's something wrong with you. And the thing is, they're not even being like homophobic or something. There is actually something wrong for you, but you to be able to continue with the delusion, to be able to just be like, I don't care what all them bitches say. I'm going forward no matter what. That's wild.
Well, I have a big family. There's about 105. 4th of July when I last counted. So a lot of them support me, a lot of them don't. Listen, my family has a long relationship with President Biden. President Biden has a bust at my.
Is there really that many of them? I thought they always keep dying. Is there really that many of them? Oh, maybe they started pumping out more kids because they're so prone to dying. That could be possible as well. It's just like a sort of like is what like people did back in the feudal age. Like a couple won't make it all the way, so you got to be able to put out as many as possible. All they're good at is breeding.
So you have gained notoriety for your skepticism about vaccines. And over the summer in an interview, you said, quote, "There's no vaccine that is, safe and effective." Do you still believe that?
I never said that.
So stop me. We have the clip. Please play the clip.
Play the whole clip.
Oh no. Oh no. That's so quick. She was like, say it. I dare you. Say it. I swear. Tell me you didn't say it. Look me dead in the eyes and tell me you didn't say that shit, bitch. I saw she holding her finger over the you just said this button. This you. Holding her finger over the this you button is, oh, I'm telling you guys, this one might get a little tragic.
You've talked about that the media slanders you by calling you an anti-vaxxer. And you've said that you're not anti-vaccine, you're pro-safe vaccine. Difficult question. Can you name any vaccines that you think are good?
I think some of the live virus vaccines are probably averting more problems than they're causing. There's no vaccine that is, safe and effective.
So you did say it. Do you still believe it?
Well, here's what I Here's what I would say. First of all, I'm not anti-vaccine.
How is that statement not anti-vaccine?
Well, I can say right now there's no medicine for cancer that's safe and effective. It doesn't mean I'm against all medicines. I've been fighting 40 years to get mercury out of fish. Nobody calls me anti-fish. What I want is vaccines that are proven safety. And what I meant...
Wait, what are you referencing there? Are you referencing like the idea of there being a mercury inside of some vaccines? Because some vaccines have a mercury in them, but it's not the same type of mercury that you find like in the ground or inside of like old-timey thermoses or something. Or thermometers, sorry. Anti-fish! I'm anti-fish! You don't get it. They come to me and they tell me, Robert F. Kennedy, you're anti-fish. I say, fuck you. And here's the thing. What do you mean by like not safe and effective? It probably won't kill you. Well, depending on how far gone you are, it might not kill you. It is effective when it comes to getting rid of cancer. They wouldn't allow you to be able to use it or it wouldn't just be normally prescribed if it wasn't effective, or at least have some good efficacy. What do you mean by effective? Do you mean like 100% of people will be cured if they take it? Because there's no medicine that can do, there's nothing that can do that. There's literally nothing that can do that. But because that's not the criteria that they're using to judge these types of things. You're just making an unrealistic standard to hold these things to justify your skepticism that has no basis in reality. We eradicated smallpox through vaccines. I don't know, maybe he thinks that we did it by, I don't know, like working hard and praying really hard. Who knows?
Which was a bad use of words, and as none of the vaccines that are currently on the mandated schedule for children, the 72 vaccines, have ever been tested in a pre-licensing safety study. What that means is that we do not know. We do not know what the risk profile is for those products, and you cannot prove that or say with any scientific certainty that any of those products are causing.
So you're saying you still believe that no vaccines are safe and effective?
Oh, what I'm saying is that none of the 72 vaccines has ever been tested in a safety study pre-licensing.
So let me ask you.
Okay, so like here's the thing. You are saying that you don't believe they're safe and effective because they haven't had this one specific test. Because you personally believe that they haven't had this one specific test that you think that they should have to prove that they're safe and effective. Why in the world are you like pussyfooting around on you saying that you don't think that they're safe? Just speak your mind. Why are you going? I've seen conservatives do this, and I think it's so weird. If you ask me what I believe, I'm not going to be scared and timid about what I tell you that I believe. Sometimes I don't give people the whole thing, and sometimes I don't tell people like the harshest way that I could possibly say it, because I'm not in the setting where I should be having this type of debate and stuff. He's talking on TV on a political network where hundreds of thousands of people are watching specifically for these types of debates, and he's still yellow belly pussyfooting around about like what he genuinely believes. Just say, oh yeah, I don't like the vaccines. I don't believe they went through I personally don't believe they went through the one specific testing that that I think is going to definitely prove that they're safe. And I'm going to tell you that he's probably going to move the goalpost after that and go like, well, they haven't done well, like it hasn't been like super duper into this, and oh well, like sometimes they turn people away, so we're never really sure. These types of conspiracy theories will never be happy. That's the point. It's a conspiracy of the gaps. If there's any possible thing that they can think of to disqualify something as being actually true or safe, effective, real, or as other people say that it is, then they're just going to take it as that, because what they actually believe is if a group of people who they think are them are saying it, then they want to believe the exact opposite of it, because they don't want to be a part of them, because them always lie and they always tell the untruth, and the lab coats and the bigwigs, all right, are always believing that, and that's them and this is us, and so us want to believe this, and they always want to hold some sort of they want to hold some idea of having like the keys to information that nobody else is privy to, because them as well as everybody else on the same subway car are thinking about how all these sheeple don't don't understand the real world that they live in, and only free thinkers like them have the capacity to understand how the world truly is. They put the sunglasses on and they can see how the world how it really is, even though they spend their time just watching movies, because that's the only place where their weirdo conspiracy theories actually come to life.
If you think it's wise for people to take these vaccines, because you had this to say on a different podcast about whether people with young babies should be getting them shots. Watch.
For many, many years, I think parents were so gaslighted and they were scapegoated and they were vilified and marginalized, so that even parents of kids who were very, very badly injured knew what happened to their kid, but they were just reluctant to talk about it. And I think now those days are over.
It's kind of crazy how he's like, oh yeah, parents who don't take care of their children were marginalized and gaslighted. Usually my argument for this would be, you're a conservative, you're not marginalized, you're not gaslighted, you're just a bad person. But if I'm going to be honest with you, I want you to be marginalized. I want you to be discriminated against. Okay? Somebody's got to say it. Everybody's going to be like that. No, that's not happening to you. It is happening to you, and you deserve it. Not all discrimination is bad. Some of it is good. And discriminating against parents who don't take care of their children is actually very good. Yes, you should have your children taken away from you if you don't give them vaccines. Yes, you should have your children taken away from you if you don't send them to school. Yes, you should have your children taken away from you if you're treating them terribly. Yes. Absolutely. If you get your vaccine knowledge on goddamn Breitbart and like Twitter, conservative Twitter videos and Reddit and 4chan, yes, you deserve to have your children taken away from you. If you get your medical advice on how to take care of your children from InfoWars, yes, you deserve to have your children taken away from you. The craziest thing about it is that these people constantly believe that something that the US government has actually done to genuine minorities is happening to them. They make their own fan fiction about the oppression that they're having from what actual minorities in the country have genuinely experienced. Like, conservatives believe that like a Tuskegee project is going on against them when it's already happened to another minority group, and because they think that they're the new punk rock by telling you to obey the law. they genuinely think that people are coming for them. They genuinely think that they're them. Bro thinks he's a minority. And in this case, they are a minority in some instances when it comes to like not taking care of your children and not giving them vaccines. There are some places in this country right now where like smallpox that has been all but eradicated in like the vast majority of the country is making a comeback. Didn't the Black Plague make a comeback in some places in the US because this guy's idea of when it comes to vaccines has taken root in some communities? Some places are actually having the Black Plague round 2 electric boogaloo. Yeah, the bubonic plague made a comeback in Florida, the exact same place that you would imagine where it'd be happening. The exact place where you would think it'd be happening. No way, really? Yes, actually. Yeah, whooping cough, black plague, smallpox. Because of this type of stuff. When everybody's getting vaccines and we're just getting better, just because you're so scared, just because you're so terrified of, and you've never thought in your life when it comes to you pumping out kids that you ever actually cared about taking care of one of them if they were genuinely disabled. Instead of you just coming to the realization that sometimes kids are disabled and just treating them like a normal human being, you have to make up conspiracy theories about why somebody did something, why that actually happened, instead of just taking care of your autistic kid like a grown adult and parent should. So yes, I'm going to say this now. Parents who don't treat their kids well should be marginalized. You should be discriminated against. You should be persecuted as well. And it's not actually happening as much as they say that it is, but it should be happening more, in my personal opinion.
Our job is to resist and to talk about it to everybody. If you're walking down the street and I do this now myself, which is, I don't want to do, I'm not a busybody. I see somebody on a hiking trail carrying a little baby, and I say to them, better not get them vaccinated. And he heard that from me. If he hears it from 10 other people, maybe he won't do it. Maybe he will save that child.
Save that. I walk around and I try and give out child abuse pro tips. Bro's actually walking around giving child abuse pro tips to people, being like, I'm trying to save the world. You need to be put in prison. You know that? You need to be put in prison. He's gonna get that kid killed. Back in my day, we used to clown on kids who weren't vaccinated. These days, we have to clown kids who aren't getting vaccinated and then put their parents in jail. Does Boo have mercury? I'm actually about to get my dog shots against it. Wait a second. My thing is, if this is the case, does RFK give his dogs like rabies shots, or does he think that those are or does he think that they're going to give his dog autism? Because that would be kind of crazy. Because here's the thing, like that guy who like goes around trolling conservatives. He actually went to a RFK rally and was like, yo, dude, the vet gave my dog autism. I tried to give him rabies shots and it gave my dog autism. Look, he barks weird now. Do it, bark. Bro, he can't even bark anymore. His tism's gotten too strong. And RFK was just like, it was so good. Not podtism. All right, we're moving on.
Maybe he will save that child. You think preventing vaccines for a child will save that child? Do you still say this to parents today?
What I say again is I had 3 vaccines, Casey, when I was a kid, and I was fully compliant. My kids got 72. The current recommendations are, I think, around 77. And
I have a vaccine record for my child, and there are not 77
there are 77 doses. There are 72 doses of 16 vaccines.
Oh, okay. So you're just using a scary big number because you want people to be afraid that they're going to take like an iron rod and then shove science juice down it to inflate your kid with science juice. Okay. So it's not actually 77 vaccines. That's not true. Okay. Thank you for just letting us know that you've been lying this whole time. Appreciate that.
That's just a fact. And
it's actually 16
vaccines that were added to the schedule after 1986, because in 1986 Congress made it so that it's impossible to sue a vaccine company, no matter how negligent they are, no matter how grievous your injury, no matter how reckless their conduct.
So what were your 3 vaccines that you had when you were a kid?
Let me finish this. And there was a gold rush to add new vaccines to the schedule, including a lot of vaccines that are not for diseases that are not even casually contagious. I'll give you hepatitis B.
So you don't think hepatitis B vaccine?
Also, here's the thing. Personal injury lawsuits and wrongful death lawsuits, specifically from vaccine companies, between individuals and vaccine companies, that's what was made illegal, right? The Vaccine Act. It's not that vaccine companies can't be sued. It's to stop people from being able to just do like slap lawsuits against people. Actually, people like RFK who are going to be like, I got a vaccine and then like 5 years later, my kid was diagnosed with autism. So I'm going to be like suing them into the ground until as much as I can. Right. That's the point of what's going on. Vaccine companies can indeed be sued. They are sued literally all the time. This isn't unique or new or interesting. You don't have secret information that we don't all know. Why does CNN have this guy on? Because like between the 3-way race between Trump, Biden, and this guy, he gets like 21%, which is like just 10 percentage points below the other two. Or like 10 or 20 percentage points below the other two, which is a serious contender. That's why. He's not just some random YouTuber, unfortunately. This is one of the if you want to know where most of the like anti-vax content came from during the height of the pandemic, he was one of the largest people pushing anti-vaccine content on Facebook. Like I think he was like number 4 or number And number 3, when it came to the number 1 content creators online pushing anti-vaccine content. I'm going to tell you this right now. If you have somebody in your family who's like super duper anti-vaccine, I'm going to tell you this right now. They probably got at least 10% of their talking points from RFK's Facebook, or people reposting from RFK's Facebook. Well, RFK and his work being anti-vaccine has specifically killed, in my opinion, contributed, in my opinion, to harming tens of thousands of people, if not more, across the United States.
Vaccine is progress.
I don't think that a hepatitis vaccine, I don't think the current hepatitis, I think the science suggests that the current hepatitis B vaccines are causing more problems than they're solving. And listen, why would you...
I'm not in a position to argue with you on the science, but I'm glad you're on the record as saying that.
Why would you have a baby, give a baby a hepatitis B vaccine, when the only way that you can catch hepatitis B is through sexual interactions or using needles? Now, there are mothers who pass it to their children, and all those mothers are tested in every hospital in the country. So if somebody's at risk, then I wouldn't object to it. But why give it to a whole generation? You know, the good health comes...
To stop them from getting hepatitis? Does he actually not understand the idea of preventative medicine? Like, it's one of the number 1 reasons why our healthcare system costs so much money is that we're not doing preventative medicine. Is that we're not preventing people from getting diseases in the first place. Bro actually goes, why? Can you imagine this? Can you imagine this? Like, this argument against like fucking seatbelts. Why would you ever force people to put seatbelts on? Why would you force kids to put seatbelts on when in most car crashes you don't die even if you're not wearing a seatbelt? And on top of that, most people aren't even in the seatbelt to begin with. Like, people are getting checked off. People are checking their lights all the time. They're looking left, looking right before they cross the road, and they go through intersections. Why in the world would you need seatbelts? You know, it's not because you don't wear the seatbelt for just driving to one place to another. You wear the seatbelt for if you get into a crash, that you're forced to be protected. Because you should be protected. What are you talking about? We should prevent people from getting diseases. Like, that seems pretty normal to me, don't you think? I was like, why would we ever prevent somebody from getting sick? We should only make medicine for when people are already sick. We shouldn't make medicine for when people aren't sick. What's the point of medicine then? You need to be put in jail.
From building a strong immune system, and we never had hepatitis B epidemics when I was a kid. We never had rotavirus epidemics. A lot of
yes, they did.
These
for one, yes, you did. Okay, and this preventative medicine is still preventing people from getting sick. Like, what are you talking about? And you also had other epidemics. What are you talking about? Polio?
Products were added to the schedule because they enrich the companies, and this is an automatic boon, an automatic windfall for companies that they're now allowed to mandate their product with no legal liability.
So do you think school children should not be required to be vaccinated in public schools?
No, I would be against mandates at all.
For any vaccines?
For any vaccine.
Okay, I'm glad we established that. All right.
Bros actually does. Can you imagine being forced to go to school with the grubbiest, nastiest, most disgusting kids ever because their parents believe that, like, making sure they don't get sick should be illegal? That's crazy. My children shouldn't be forced to be around your disgusting, gross, grody, disease-ridden rats. Just because you want to cosplay a plague rat doesn't mean we all have to be forced to be around you. That's what I'm saying. We shouldn't be forced to be around you. You should be forced to stay away from the rest of us.
I want to turn to the war in the Middle East, because we've seen anti-Semitism skyrocket in this country since the October 7th attack.
Oh, no.
In July, you said this. Watch.
COVID-19, there's an argument that it is ethnically targeted. COVID-19 attacks certain races disproportionately. COVID-19 is targeted to attack Caucasians and black people. The people who are most immune are Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese. But we don't know whether it was deliberately targeted that or not. But there are papers out there that show the racial and ethnic differential impact.
Bro, he actually does. He may actually genuinely be illiterate. We may find ourselves having our first genuinely illiterate presidential nominee make it as far as he might. It's very possible. It's very possible. Because other races are getting sick from a certain disease more than others doesn't mean that it's ethnically targeted. Have you ever heard of environmental factors before, you dumb piece of shit? What are you talking about? He said, oh, one type of people are getting hurt more than another type of people. That must mean that they're being ethnically targeted. Are you stupid? Black people are usually poor in areas with worse, that lead to worse environmental health outcomes, and usually have worse health than other types of people, leading to them having more comorbidities, leading to them getting sick and dying more. Yeah, like more black people have kidney problems, blood pressure issues, diabetes, obesity, and all these types of things are, guess what? COVID comorbidities. They make the likelihood of you getting COVID and being sick and dying more likely. And so he's just like, oh yeah, that must mean that they made COVID attack these people. Obviously, the Caucasoids and the Negroids. Yeah, sickle cell anemia, that one as well. Isn't death a COVID comorbidity? So true. Bro's bringing like the newfangled anti-Semitism to chat.
Regardless of the science, do you understand why people saw those remarks as anti-Semitic?
Well, I can understand why people were disturbed by those remarks. They certainly weren't anti-Semitic.
They were not?
No, of course not. I was talking about a true study, an NIH-funded study that showed that the docking site on the furin cleave, where it docks with the ACE2 receptor in the human lung, is more compatible with certain races and less compatible with other races.
I've looked at the study in question. I am not a scientist, so I just want to stick with how there was a group that called on you not to testify before Congress after these remarks because they pointed them as being anti-Semitic. Congressman Jared Moskowitz said his entire family got COVID and that your remarks were problematic. Do you wish you hadn't said them? Would you take them back?
Well, I wish I hadn't said them. What I said was true. And I said in a group where we were told it was Chatham House rules.
So it's Google Scholar's fault. Listen, it's Google Scholar. How else am I supposed to Google this type of shit and then come out to the correct opinion? What am I supposed to do? Ask a professional or something? Come on. You can't blame me for this.
Going public, and the only reason I wouldn't talk publicly about this, which is a true study, is that I know that there's people out there who are anti-Semitic and can misuse any information. Oh, the people that you're talking about on the Democratic committee we're all Democratic committee members who don't like me because I'm running against President Biden. Now, at the same time, they were accusing me of anti-Semitism in Congress. They were also saying I was a Zionist. So it's hard to be both of those things.
That's not true. Have you ever heard of a man named Benjamin Netanyahu? That's actually incredibly untrue. Have you seen most people who personally identify as Zionists? Most of them are anti-Semitic. Yes, anti-Semitic does not equal Jew. I'm going to tell you this now. Most of them are very anti-Semitic.
So sticking with this topic, because you raised this Zionism question, you also in 2022 had this to say at a rally opposing COVID mandates. Watch.
Even in Hitler's Germany, you could.
I'm gonna tell you this right now. I would have told him to not start off with that. I don't know if there's any sentence that you can provide after that that'd be good for you and your campaign. The perfect Well, even in Nazi Germany, stop. So you do not by any means have to hand it to the Nazis. You don't. Best way to start is top 10 ways to not start a sentence with RFK Jr.
Even in Hitler's Germany, you could cross the Alps into Switzerland. You can hide in an attic like Anne Frank did. Today, the mechanisms are being put in place that will make it so none of us can run and none of us can hide.
What? What are you saying? Anne Frank couldn't hide in an attic. That's the whole reason why we know her story is because she got caught. What are you saying? What are you talking about? Man, what do you mean? We have this clip on speed dial here. Even in Nazi Germany, you at least could escape the Nazis, just like Anne Frank, well-known Jewish person, famous for being able to completely escape the Nazis. Yes, he's actually yapping like crazy. He's waffling like crazy.
So your wife, Cheryl Hines, put out a tweet that called those remarks reprehensible and insensitive.
He's getting bodied by his own wife? What? Can you, bro, hang it up. Stop. You can't be getting bodied by your own wife. You can't get clowned on by wifey. Even wifey says you're cringe? I'm telling you, if my girlfriend came out to say that I'm cringe with something I said on stream, you guys I wouldn't go live for a week and a half. You're out of your mind, man. Yeah, the crazy thing about it is, like, when it comes to these type of when it comes to guys in general, like 90% of the time, okay, and there's like a great 10% where the women are usually the ones in the wrong. Like, I feel like a large chunk of the time you need to listen to your girlfriend. I feel like the world would be better if they listened to their girlfriends more. If they're just your girlfriend, your wife, where they tell you to stop, you know? Like, honestly, I can't tell you how many times I've seen a guy act out and then somebody is like, where's this man's woman? She needs to come collect him immediately. And they do, and then they slink off. They slink off like crazy because, you know, they knew they did something wrong. You know you did something wrong when your wife comes out to tell you that you need to stop. You say something cringe and wife goes, it needs to stop. It needed to stop a long time ago. Lady, come collect your mans. Come collect your mans, lady. This is wild, T. My husband's reference to Anne Frank mandate at a mandate rally in DC was reprehensible and insensitive. His opinions are not reflected on my own. Holy crap, can you imagine if you said something so bad that your wife has to put out like a sort of company I do not, his opinions do not reflect my own? You know those people who have like views on my own and they're like all the views on this account of my own, a follow is not an endorsement. She actually has to write a marriage is not an endorsement for his ideas. I think he's a nice guy when he's at home, but I can't vouch for what he does when he opens his mouth. I'm sorry. Bro, give it up. Your wife is telling you to stop. Give it up. What's that one clip from that one Adult Swim show where he's like, bro, dude, what are you doing here? Go home to your wife and kids. You're so old, man. What are you doing here? Go home to your wife and kids. That's what I'm telling you, man. Go home. Go home.
Is she right?
No, she's not right. But it was something that needed to be said at that time.
I'm so serious with you. I don't think I'll almost ever trust a guy who says that his wife is not right. When somebody goes, is your wife right? And you say, nah, I'm going to tell you this right now. There's a 99% chance that he's actually wrong. Ain't no way.
Because CNN, particularly Jake Tapper, who I know is very, very close to you.
More like Jake Crapper.
Took those remarks and misinterpreted and mischaracterized.
Well,
I mean, you
looks
put
like
it out
you are
there.
comparing it to comparing COVID to what happened in Hitler's Germany.
No, I never
during
did
the Holocaust.
You show the whole clip. That's not what I was
Play
doing.
it again. Play the clip.
I don't want to play that again. I want to show what I was saying before that. If you can do that, you should play it again. What you're doing is misleading the public right now. What I was saying is
go
that
ahead,
right
buddy.
now we're living in a time with artificial intelligence, AI, with GPS, with facial recognition systems, with hundreds of thousands of low-altitude satellites that are looking at every part of the Earth every day, and that these.
Can you imagine that there's somebody sitting in a dark room 500 feet under the Earth's crust in a government bunker, looking through the lens of a low altitude telescope, watching you beat your meat through your window on like in a midday on your off day, and sending the police to your house because they haven't seen you get your vaccine? That you didn't come back for your vaccine booster? That's crazy. Hello, NASA. Yeah, he's like straight up people stare at you as you beat your meat as they're watching you through your window. That's crazy. I'm so scared. I'd be so scared. I'd be very scared. Yeah, every single 3-letter agent is watching you. Everybody has their own assigned 3-letter agent who's watching them beat their meat through their window or webcam, through a low altitude satellite, or through your webcam you accidentally left on. So please let him bring up microchips and vaccines. That'd be insane if bro went on the whole like 5G. You know what's crazy to me is because that SpongeBob movie where Plankton put the chum bucket hat on everybody who went to his restaurant, but then activated it and they all became like chum bucket zombies. Republicans looked at that and were like, holy crap, it's real. This is just like what's happening to me. It's happening to me. He's just like me for real. I'm also getting microchipped. Somebody help me. True and real. The SpongeBob movie was a documentary.
Before I let you go, I pulled this piece you wrote in 2004 about the John Kerry, and you questioned whether or not the 2004 election was stolen, and you raise a lot of points about, particularly in Ohio. And my question for you is actually about the 2020 election, because this is something that is front and center here in the 2024 election. Do you believe that the 2020 election was fair and that Joe Biden is the legitimate president of the United States?
Oh, here we go.
I believe that George W. Bush was the legitimate election, legitimate president after he took the oath of office.
Okay.
As even though that I believe that there were irregularities in that election and in 2001, which most Democrats believe that Al Gore won the 2001 election. What I've said is that
okay, but like the Supreme Court did literally hand the election to Bush. That did literally happen, but
people who say that there's things that are broken with the election system should not be punished. They shouldn't be derided. They shouldn't be characterized as undemocratic. Do I believe that Biden won the election? I do, but I have not gone into detail to examine it. My belief is that he did.
Do you think it's legitimate for Donald Trump to say that he won the election?
Well, I think that I think Donald Trump did something
different. You can have an opinion.
Which is to deliberately try to fix the election, to get people to change things that they knew to be true.
It's very clear here. What he was trying to do. He wasn't, and the thing is, what's there to fix? He's like trying to fix elections. What's there to fix? They're not broken. You can't say that things need to be fixed, and what you mean is things need to be rigged in a way where I win more. If it's not fixed, what is there? If it's not broken, what is there to fix? Bring me something that you think is broken and then we can talk about it. But until then, conservatives don't bring you real things that are broken because nothing's actually broken. It's fine. If he's just like, we need more security when it comes to we need more security and we need more transparency when it comes to where ballots go in their history, you need to be able to track them. Sure, fine. That's not what he's saying. He's saying that the elections were stolen. People stole them from me. I won and they lost because they lied and they cheated and they rigged the election against me, who won. That's what's being said here. In Arizona, they were literally looking for bamboo fibers in machines that were made in China because they think that the Chinese workers were literally pandas, putting it together under the watchful eye of Xi Jinping, edited, tampered with to turn Trump votes into Biden votes. China. They literally believe that the ghost of Hugo Chavez was inside of some voting machines to be able to turn some votes from Trump to Biden.
The Dominion voting systems, the Smartmatic technology software, and the software that goes in other computerized voting systems here as well, not just Dominion, were created in Venezuela at the direction of Hugo Chavez to make sure he never lost an election after one constitutional referendum came out the way he did not want it to come out.
What? Some of you all haven't heard the story. We have a whole video up on it. We have a whole video of it up on the channel, and the history of the Republicans' assault on the voter system in Arizona. Who remembers back in the 2020 election, people like outside of like voter booths in like Phoenix, Arizona, making a little circle like they're the deacons of the deep, like praying at the praying at the election center, hoping that Biden won. Hoping that Trump won and stopping Biden votes from being counted, like the whole stop the vote type thing, stop the count type thing. That wasn't just then. Those people who were like singing hymns to be able to change votes from from Biden to Trump, all right, and to stop Biden votes from being counted, to stop the steal, stop the count, and then change to stop the steal, all right. Those people were then hired by Republican Congress people and firms put through by Republican Congress people to be able to research and redo the ballots, and they were sitting there in gymnasiums, crisscross applesauce, recounting votes by hand, just like strewn about the floor. Okay, and one of the stated things that they were looking for was bamboo fibers because they believed that these voting machines were made in China. And so here, let me pull this up for you. Arizona Republicans hunt for bamboo-laced China ballots in 2020 audit effort. Among the conspiracy theories driving the exercise in Maricopa County is one that suggests 40,000 ballots were flown in from Asia. Xi Jinping and his army of evil, malevolent, Mandarin-speaking, bamboo-munching pandas were made 40,000 ballots, and express trip flew them to Arizona Maricopa County to put them in just in case Trump was pulling ahead too far, so that he could actually win. It's actually racism to another level. I'm being dead ass. What were they smoking and where can I get it? I'm being dead ass. Here's one of the people, okay? We've watched this before. If you want to watch it, oh no! Well, if you want to see this video, because I remember this video. If you want to see, oh, it's here. It's just shitty Twitter being shitty. If you want to watch like the whole thing, we played it on the channel a little while ago. You can just search Arizona on the channel, and we cover this whole thing. It's an incredible thing.
The other day at the press conference, you were talking about bamboo. What was that about?
Well, is that there's accusations that 40,000 ballots were flown in. Okay, and it came from the southeast part of the world, Asia.
I had to skip it.
Okay, and what they're doing is to find out if there's bamboo in the paper. That camera right there, that they take a picture of the ballot, they can really look at depth and find out, is it a hand-marked paper ballot? Because it's a 5K camera. You can see the folds in the ballot because 92% of all the ballots here should have been folded because they came in through an envelope. Okay, and so they're doing all sorts of testing to prove if it was or wasn't, and that's very important because the only way you can persuade people on changing is having facts.
So yeah, during the Arizona audit, they are absolutely looking for bamboo fibers. Yes. These are the facts. We need some facts. We need some facts in here, bro. Oh, and then after that, they were sending people to people's houses to be able to ask them if this really was their ballots, and they were like antagonizing people about whether or not they voted for Trump or Biden. Yeah, that's what was going on there. They spent millions of, just so you know, they spent millions of dollars, and by their count, 5,000 cameras to look for bamboo fibers. Yep.
Who ask about the legitimacy of the election. Do I think that they should be dismissed as crazy people? No, I think their questions should be answered. They should be allowed to produce evidence. We all should be allowed to debate it, and we should be debating it without vitriol. There are questions with our election system, and there was a study that came out by the New York Times this week that said that 1 out of every 5 mail-in ballot, people who sent mail-in ballots, that 1 out of every 5 of them said that they had cheated. So, we need...
I'm going to be completely honest with you. If I was asked whether or not I cheated in 2020, on a poll, I would say yes. Mostly because it's just fuck you. I'm so honest. I would simply just say yes. If you're asking me that question, then you know what? Yeah, I did cheat. Mostly because I wanted to. I cheated so hard. I actually cheated more than anybody has ever cheated in the history of mankind. I cheated so bad that I had on 5 pairs of pants, 3 shirts, and 4 jackets with 3 hats on, okay? And every single time I voted, I took off a hat and put on a new hat, and then I went around the building and voted, and then I took off my jacket and then put on a new one and then voted, and then I took off my pants to change out into different pants and then go around the building and I voted again. I'm telling you right now that I did personally 7,000 votes for Biden on election day. That's because I was given the votey no me fruit by Nancy Pelosi. It showed up on my doorstep one day in a package labeled Viva la Revolution, and I was supposed to take it, and it helps me vote 10 times in a row. With 1 vote equals 10 votes. So I was able to actually do that. It was great. It's fantastic. You're a genius. Thank you. Every time I vote for Biden, the more black I become. He gives back a little bit of my melanin every time I vote for him. It's not my fault. He's holding my melanin for ransom. And he says he's not giving me back my melanin until I vote for him. Sidney Powell practically said crazy things such as this. Sidney Powell actually recently pleaded guilty to her Dominion suit and wrote an "I'm sorry" letter that was 1 sentence long. Yeah, apology letters by Sidney Powell and Kenneth Chesebro in Georgia election case are 1 sentence long. The apology letters that Donald Trump allied lawyers Sidney Powell and Chesebro were required to write as a condition for their plea deals in the Georgia election interference case are just 1 sentence. The letters obtained Thursday by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution through an open records request were handwritten and terse. Neither letter acknowledges the legitimacy of Joe Biden or denounce what they said in 2020. I apologize for my actions in connection with the events in Coffee County, Powell wrote on the 19th. She pleaded guilty to 6 misdemeanor. This is the plea deal, just so you know, not what she was actually being charged of. To 6 misdemeanor accusations of her conspiring to intentionally interfere with the performance of election duties. I apologize to the citizens of the state of Georgia and to Fulton County for my involvement in the count 15 of the indictment. And that's just it. I'm sorry. And that's just how it goes. She has a Voss chin, just not the beard. That's kind of crazy. Chase, bro.
Listen, what I've recommended.
I'm sorry. I don't. That 1 in 5 people who mailed in ballots say that they cheated on the election.
You go ahead and look up the article. This is what,
Google it, bro.
Look, I think we've established here. There have been several times when you've said things to me that we've been able to prove are not the case. So I don't have that. I don't have that to hand.
You had one quotation of me that I did use unfortunate language because it seemed much more expansive than I intended, and I apologize for that. You have not shown me multiple times. You showed me one time.
There's just one. There's just one.
Forgive me if that has caused me to make sure that I just want to make sure that I do not have the information on this study, and I just want to make sure that our viewers
you should look it up.
Understand
I could be mistaken about the study, but that I believe it was yesterday. But in any rate, I think, what I advocated in that article and elsewhere is that we have paper ballots everywhere, that we not rely on machines. Okay. There's a whole city called Las Vegas.
All right. Well, I think that's a great place to end it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, RFK. There's a whole city. It's called Las Vegas. Never heard of it. I do know the city with the big dome. I do know the Gigadome city. That place is really cool. That's great. Las Vegas, the city. Thank you. There's a whole place. It's called Las Vegas. You gotta check it out, man. They shouldn't be dismissed. Listen, here's the thing. A lot of those election people, they weren't dismissed. They made sure they weren't being dismissed by having like 10 people write 3,000 letters of them claiming that there were problems and irregularities in the election system. They weren't dismissed. They were able to go to court. Here's the thing. Conservatives hate going to court. The reason why is because they almost always lose when they go to court. These conservatives, ever since 2020, courts have been asking, pleading, begging for these people to bring information to them to prove that they were telling the truth and shouldn't be sued. None of them can do it. Why is Chase bro? Why is Chase bro? Why is Powell? Why are all of these people taking plea deals and asking and not providing any type of information when they actually could just prove that they're not lying? Thank you, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Very interesting. Very cool.
Oh, sorry. I didn't see you there. If you're enjoying the content, hit the subscribe button. If you don't, it'll make Boo very sad. I know a bunch of you who are watching are not subscribed. Join the frenzy. You won't regret it.
Thank you, Boo.